And we have speed. Welcome to Professor Cardworthy, the money explainer. Are you cardworthy? Well, as the professor of all things financial, I'm here to help my students become not only cardworthy, but also financially savvy. And today's lesson is best credit card. About 40 years ago, I lived in a small town in Pennsylvania called Mercersburg, Pennsylvania. Population less than 1,500 people. We had one grocery store there. It was called John's Butcher Shop. And if you went shopping for cereal at John's Butcher Shop, the choice was Wheaties or cornflakes. That was it. We also had a Tasty Freeze fast food place. And of course, their specialty was burgers and shakes. The burgers, the choice was with cheese for the Big T burger, with cheese or without cheese. The milkshake, same thing, vanilla or chocolate. And by the way, John's Butcher Shop would let you pay on Friday for all your groceries that you got during the week. He would just simply write them down, and when everybody got paid, they went in and settled up with John. Don't see that too much today. But the same was true of credit cards at that time. It was either Visa or MasterCard. It was either a classic and a little bit later, gold. So you had that. When you go up to today and fast forward today, the combinations of credit cards, it's like a hoagie or a submarine. I mean, there's so many ways that you can have it. And in fact, at some issuers, they have, in some cases, as many as 100 different programs from one issuer. And the exact number of programs in the country, we don't know exactly what that is. At one time estimated maybe 15,000. I'm sure it's double, maybe even far more than that today. But the market has really grown, like I say, into so many. We have so many different cards today. I mean, when you think about it, we've got the Visa Platinum card. We have a prepaid card. Here's a Disney Visa card, a Chase Platinum card, and then debit cards, and we also have the Discover card. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, it's an absolute, just unbelievable when you think about all these and what to choose from. I mean, it's like a shower of cards. And so, hope I can clean that up. But anyway, let's go back and talk about where Visa and MasterCard were back in, say, 1986. There were a total of 310 million Visa, MasterCard, American Express cards in the whole world. There was 150 Visa, 135 MasterCard, 25 million American Express. Discover didn't come out until 1986, 1987. Now we go to today and worldwide. Now remember, this was global. Also global today, Visa has 1.2 billion cards, MasterCard 700 million, American Express 115 million, and there's about 65 million Discover cards. There's over 2 billion cards in circulation around the world carrying those four brands. Now, if you look just in the U.S. market alone, there's 335 million. Let me slide this board over here so you can get to see this, get into conversation here, because I have some other information to share. The Visa 335, MasterCard 243, 55 million for American Express, and about 60 million for Discover, means we have close to 700 million credit cards. This is just credit cards in the United States. That's not debit cards and prepaid cards. That's credit cards. So you can see that, the market, like I say, is overwhelming with all these choices. And because I've been a student of it for that long, you always get these same questions like, what is the perfect card? I would say if you go on to Google and you were to type in perfect credit card, you would get 630 million links or whatever that would show up, results, I guess they call it. Or best credit card, there's 4.4 billion results on that kind of search. The thing is, though, a lot of those links, particularly the ones that come up on the first couple of pages, many times they're, of course, paid to be on those pages, but they're also being paid by the issuers for promoting their products within their content. And that's a very tricky and dicey situation. That's why very often you will only hear of the very largest issuers offering cards because they have the links and they get paid generously for that. But the whole point is that a perfect credit card doesn't exist. Even a best credit card, that's a myth. There is no such thing as a best credit card. I mean, either way, if you want to say, I mean, these are questions that I used to get over the years. People would say, well, what's the perfect credit card? What's the best credit card? I would get those questions all the time. Well, to really be truthful, the best answer would be no card. I mean, maybe a debit card or something for purchases, but just to do without them totally. And then you get questions like, okay, well, my credit score is 705. What kind of card should I have for that? I like rewards. What's the best card for that? What about cash back? Most popular option out there. And again, the answer is there's a lot of factors. And also, what about poor credit? Those are the kind of questions that I would get a lot. And you could, maybe mention a few products they might want to check out, but you really have to do the research, because there's not just these big banks that some of these big websites are promoting where they're getting paid for. There are a lot of small banks, credit unions, where there are deals that are just as good and a lot less money. But it really depends also, of course, on your life stage. Obviously, if you're just starting out as a young adult or student, you're probably more interested in building up your credit because you want to qualify for a car loan or a mortgage eventually. So that really plays into the choice. And there are some excellent programs. They're actually student cards. Even very, very small issuers offer student card programs. If you're in the prime of life and you travel a lot, you spend a lot, then you might want to investigate some of the reward cards. But that's going to take a lot of research on your part. And also, there's so many factors there, because it could be maybe you're loyal to a certain brand. And some of those cards can be quite good, but they tend to be very expensive. And that's something, again, you have to weigh out all the costs, the rewards versus the cost of the card. And of course, if you're a retiree, you probably just want the convenience of a card. You probably don't want to pay interest on it. You want to pay it off every month. So you probably want a card with no annual fee. And heck, if I can get cash back on it, the more the better. So it depends on that, on the life stage. But there are still 5 things that we can go over here that really haven't changed in the 30-some years that I've been following this business when it comes to picking out the best credit card for you. Not the best credit card for everybody. That doesn't exist. The thing that has always been true is rate. Interest rate, interest rate, interest rate. This is the most expensive loan that a bank offers because it carries a high risk to it. It's unsecured. It's a revolving line of credit. It's open to all kinds. Hackers, if they can get the number, they can certainly wreak some real havoc on your credit history as well as on the account itself. But it's a very expensive product to offer. That's why it carries high interest rates. Now, some of the rates I think are way much higher than what's justified by the risk, but it always comes down to the rate, because most consumers will revolve their balance and incur interest charges at some point. The other thing, of course, number 2, grace period. Grace period is very important. That's the option where you can pay it off in full and escape the interest charges for the previous month. That's extremely important. Now, it was many years ago, some products offered with no fee and a good interest rate, but didn't have a grace period. So there's no way to avoid the interest cost. Also, got to be careful. Number 3, with balance and intro rates. Balance transfer is what I'm talking about. You'll hear a lot of pundits say, well, you should transfer to a lower card or take advantage of an intro rate. You can do that, but you got to stay on top of it. And besides, it can actually trip up your credit score some when you do this shifting from one card to the other. But if you know that you're going to pay a balance off, say, in a year, and you can shift it to another card without any fees. Now, see, this is the other thing about these. Many times, these balance transfers and the introductory rates come with a fee, and that's a percentage. And that is really essentially prepaid interest. So it's really not zero. They can put a zero APR, but they got this 5% fee. There's also variable and fixed. Now, 30 years ago, most of the cards were fixed. Today, it's the complete opposite. Well over 95% of the cards in the United States are variable, based on the prime rate in most cases. The choice there, of course, if interest rates are going up, if you can lock in a fixed card, that's a good move. If interest rates are going down, then variable rates, and you can ride it down that way. But generally, just in most cases, they're going to be variable. You want to make sure whatever it is that it's reasonable, that it's not like 20 points over the prime rate or some crazy thing. Annual fee, like I say, that was something that was well entrenched in the market back in the 80s and the early 90s, but that was forced out by competition. Today, annual fees can range from $20, $30 to actually above $1,000. I mean, you can pay on some of these high-end cards, and there's many out there that have several $100 fees. Well, why? Well, that's because you're paying for those benefits. And it's very important you take that in consideration if those benefits are really, really worth the extra money. And some of the cards, like for example American Express, they offer a lot of products that have special perks. And that's the other thing. Sometimes the perks can be worth it, where you get upgraded automatically, or if a hotel is booked, they can get you into a room. But all these things you need to take in consideration in picking out the best credit card for you. Not the best credit card for everybody. It doesn't simply exist. Well, there's a lot more information about these choices, and we'll explore actually more of these choices and areas in the upcoming lessons. And there's more, of course, on today's lesson. You can just simply go to cardworthy.com or professorcardworthy.com. That's where Professor Cardworthy's Corner blog is posted, and it goes into a lot more detail here. Also, don't forget Professor Cardworthy podcast. It's on Spotify, Google, Apple, Stitcher, just about anywhere you get a podcast today. And it also goes beyond what we do here on YouTube. And also a reminder to become a friend of Cardworthy, where you can support our efforts to bring the real Cardworthy professor to real classrooms. So, you can visit cardworthy.com for details on that, or you can go to GoFundMe and type in Cardworthy and you'll find the same thing. And as always, you can contact me directly. Just email me, professor@cardworthy.com. It's that simple. So I'd like to personally thank you for taking the time today. I strongly suggest you come back for another lesson tomorrow. So have a great day and keep a smile on your face and look forward. I'm Professor Cardworthy.